Welcome to the Scott Donaldson Show, live from the Berg Bistro 1850 on the campus of Heidelberg University. I'm your host, Nate Mullins, filling in this week for John Kearns, who's actually enjoying some festivities. His son's getting married this week. So,
good for him.
Yeah,
Congrats, John.
All right, so we are live from the Berg Bistro here on the campus of Heidelberg University for the Scott Donaldson Show. This is my first time actually hosting the show, so Coach, forgive me if I don't exactly follow order.
Hey, you're fine, buddy. You're fine. No, glad to have you, bud. Glad to have you.
Absolutely.
And excited to go on today, so it's great.
Good deal. All right, so let's get into it. We got to talk about upcoming on the BAS Sports Radio Network. We've got a big, busy schedule this weekend, but last weekend, a lot of high school football in action, and let's talk about some of these games. So first of all, Tommy, Greg, and I were down at Frost County Stadium Friday night for the Sandusky-Perkins Columbian game. Yeah, a little bit of a heartbreaker.
Yeah. I wasn't able. We were down in Marietta, so I've been at every home game so far for Columbian. So that was the one I missed, and I feel so bad for the kids. I know. Really do. And they keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. But it's they played well. They really did. They played well all year. They're just so young, and it's especially when you're coming into the game 0-8. And I've been there before. Trust me, I've been on several 0-10 teams at Heidelberg and elsewhere, and you're always kind of waiting for that other shoe to drop. Yeah. Even when you're up in a game, and playing well, and everyone's kind of just holding their breath, like, oh, please don't mess up, and you can't play football like that. And it's hard not to when you've had the season they've had, and there's nothing you can do as a coach to really break that. The only thing that breaks that is winning.
And that's they were winning most of that game, actually.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
At halftime, it was tied up, but then right after half, they took another lead, and then Perkins came back, tied it up again, and then they had a little bit of a lead there in the fourth quarter, but they just weren't able to hold on to it. 21-20 at the end of the game. They had 1:30 left. Perkins had one timeout, so they had the ball. First play of the drive, 10 yards, first down. I'm thinking, all right, good, we got this one. It's in the bag. And then the next three plays went for -1 yards. Yeah. And then so they had to punt the ball. About 14 seconds on the clock when they had the punt. They had the ball at their own 26-yard line. The snap skidded into the punter. Simons did a great job of picking it up and heads up while being tackled by three different defenders. Gets rid of it, and so that way they're not actually, Perkins didn't take over at the 1 yard line, where
exactly.
They would have had it.
Yeah.
But heads up play by Simons to get rid of it, but Perkins takes over at the 26 with 6 seconds left, and that kid just nailed it.
Yeah.
He could have made it from 50.
Yeah, I heard. Or didn't he miss a couple extra points before that too?
He missed an extra point earlier in the game.
Oh, man, that's and hats off to Perkins. I know they've had a rough season, too, getting their first win, in very dramatic fashion. But I really feel for the Columbian kids, and I really feel for Coach Lutz. But I've said it every single week. I purely believe Coach Lutz is going to get this thing turned around. All right,
He's
I
the guy for
believe in
the
him.
job.
There's no question about it. He loves Tiffin. He loves Columbian football. I mean, he breathes it. And the only thing might close is Mount Union football, but I won't hold that against him. But no, and he's a great person, and I'd be proud in 7-8 years when my son's old enough for Coach Lutz to be his coach.
Yeah.
And I really hope he has that opportunity. I really do.
He's a great guy. If they just give him a chance to see this through, that's the guy for the job.
I think they will. He's a Tiffin guy. He's a hero around here. So I really, and he's starting a young family. I'm just so excited to see him finally get that first win.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey,
get that win this year.
They travel to Norwalk to take on the Truckers this week. Tommy, Greg, and I will be over there in Norwalk for that game. So tune in right here on WTTF, AM 1600, FM 93.3. We'll also be streaming on WTTF.com. Some more scores from around the area. Mohawk 32, Cary 0.
Surprising.
Wow. That was a little bit surprising. I think a lot of people kind of pegged this matchup as, hey, this is going to be a great game between these two N10 schools. Mohawk just laid it to them.
Yeah. I've seen both of them play this year, and Mohawk really impressed me. Really did, and not overly impressive as far as off the hoof. You know what I mean? They're not going to scare anybody coming off the bus, but they just play extremely hard. Every single kid on that team plays extremely hard. They're sound. They're extremely well coached. And they've been beating people just by playing hard. It doesn't surprise me that Mohawk beat Cary, don't get me wrong, but it surprised me at the score because Cary's a really good football team. Cary's a very good football team, and the actual score and shutting them out really surprised me.
Yeah, and Cary's beat some good teams this year, so it was, like you said, it was a little bit surprising to see the score of that game. I really didn't expect Cary to just get shut out in that game, so it was a little bit surprising. Right now, let's talk about Mohawk. They're sitting at number 7 in Region 26, so kind of in the driver's seat, I guess. They need a few things to happen. Obviously, they need to take care of business this week against Eden, but they have some other things that need to fall in place in order for them to finish out and make the playoffs.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Okay. Who do we need to lose?
Well, I think with Hilltop sitting there at 8-1 at number 9, they have a chance if they beat Gibsonburg this week to move up. So that's
well, let's go Reeser. Let's go Gibsonburg. Let's go.
Sure. So let's see what happens this week with Mohawk taking on Eden. All right. So let's keep going with these scores. I've got some more scores around the area. Let's see here. I'm searching the Advertiser Tribune. Folks,
shout out Zach Baker.
Absolutely. Pick up a copy every Saturday for all the high school scores. Liberty Benton 58, Hopewell Loudon 21. I think there's a little bit of revenge here.
Yeah, I know. And after that upset last year, yeah, that could be it. No, Liberty Benton came out the gate and they dominated that game. I was listening along when I was down in West Virginia, and and Hopewell's a good football team. I know they're a little banged up right now. But again, they're young. They're very young. That talent on that team is young. They have 2 top-tier running backs, and both those guys will be back next year, and most of their whole team will be back next year. So I think Coach Kodge will get them rallying around and hopefully for a playoff run.
Absolutely. Well, this was only Zach Crease's second game back. He did have 5 turnovers in this game, so it's a little bit – he's just trying to find his footing here as he works his way back into game action. But, hey, it's hard doing that at the end of the year.
There's no question, especially since such a good team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Liberty Benton's an institution as far as small schools go. I mean, they've been rolling through the playoffs for years now.
Absolutely. Winford 34, Upper Sandusky 0. That one doesn't surprise anybody, I think. Upper, they played hard all year, but, Winford is just – they're a buzzsaw right now.
They are. And what surprised me, too, is Winford's playing out without their quarterback.
Yeah.
That really surprised me. And Upper, they just don't have the kids.
Yeah.
As far as – they have some talent, don't get me wrong. They just don't have the numbers. Yeah. I mean, their numbers are way down for – what are they, D4 school, I believe?
And we had Coach Rodriguez out on Monday Night Sports Talk, and he was talking about just that. The numbers are just not there. The senior class this year just isn't that big. So.
Exactly. And that not only affects on the field depth, but you can't practice. Yeah. I mean, you can't legitimately practice when you have that little amount of kids because you can't afford to get anybody hurt.
Absolutely. Colonel Crawford 61, Buckeye Central 0. Let's see, Seneca East 46, Bucyrus 7. The Tigers right now are sitting pretty at 7-1, and I believe in their region they are at number 4. So if it holds tight, and if they hold tight and they win the last game of the year here, let's see, they're playing Cary. So this is a big matchup.
That's a big game.
That's a big game, and that is in Attica. So if they can hold court here and beat Cary, they might actually be able to host a playoff game over there in Attica.
That'd be awesome. That'd be great. Great for Coach Phillips.
Absolutely.
It'd be great to host a game.
For sure. All right, Clyde 24, Norwalk 7. I want to talk a little bit about the Flyers here because I know John likes to talk about the Flyers.
Yeah.
So first of all, they're sitting right now. I was looking at the standings, and it kind of surprised me because they're above Sandusky.
Are they really?
Sandusky beat them.
Beat them bad.
Yeah. But right now, sitting with the computer points, I think it's just strength of schedule, who they've played so far. But Sandusky is actually ranked 5th, and Clyde is number 4.
That's surprising. Yeah. That's surprising. Clyde's a good football team. Obviously we have a couple of Clyde kids on our team, and they're, I know a bunch of their coaches, and we've been following them along, and they're big. They are a big football team, which we don't get very often as far as, Clyde's probably Clyde and Bellevue, and you might get some big guys, Columbian sometimes, and but they are just big. Yeah. I mean, they look like a college football team.
For sure.
Just size-wise. And their defense is very stout, very impressive.
Sure. Oh, yeah, every week. So this score, I think it surprised me a little bit because, the Truckers coming off a loss last week or the week before against Perkins. Perkins picking up their first win of the year against Norwalk. But they played really tough against Clyde. They had it tied up in the first quarter, and it was only a one-score game at halftime. So it was a little bit surprising with the score. But, Norwalk, it doesn't surprise me because they play tough no matter who they play every week. Now they got Tiffin Columbian this week.
Yeah, and that's the funny part about the SBC, especially when you're talking about those schools up by the lake, the Clydes, the Norwalks, the Hurons, the Sandusky, the Perkins. All those kids grow up together.
Yep.
They grow up playing sports together against each other, whether it's baseball, basketball, football. They all know each other, so every week's kind of a crapshoot because it's always a rivalry week. It doesn't matter who you're playing because you know these guys so well. You want to beat them so bad that, things can go high or low both ways,
Yeah.
So it's always kind of funny to see those classic SBC schools.
For sure. And it's a little top-heavy over there because there are so many good teams in that SBC Lake Division. So Sandusky 49, Bellevue 35. That's going to wrap up our scores from around the area. That was a marquee matchup in this Seneca County area with Sandusky picking up a big win over Bellevue. And, Ed Nasani, it doesn't surprise me that game was close.
Yeah, no, not at all, not at all. And I watched Bellevue play against Columbian here, and Bellevue's obviously always a powerhouse. And they didn't play well against Columbian, but they played extremely well against Sandusky.
Oh yeah,
and it comes down. Sandusky's got unbelievable weapons. The athleticism on that field isn't going to be matched until probably second, third round of the playoffs. Let's face it.
Yeah.
I mean, they just the speed on the field is unbelievable for Northwest Ohio.
You're absolutely right. And let's talk about, Coach, we had one other high school game in the area. That was Tiffin Calvert this past weekend picking up a win over Margaretta. 41-16 was the final in that one, with Tiffin Calvert clinching the SBC River Division and I think strengthening their case for a playoff spot. Right now, I believe, sitting at number 5.
Yeah.
At 6-3.
So, yeah, I think, with a win this week, it should be a lock. And I think this is a Calvert team that's really come on as of late.
Yeah.
I think they started off a little slow, but they're playing their best football now, which you need to be. And this could be a team that could make a decent run. I mean, they're playing extremely well right now, and I'm really hoping they get that bid because I'd love to see them what they can do in the future.
The defense is playing good. The run game's hitting on all cylinders, and they got Park Heminger back, and he's clicking right now.
Yeah.
That offense is kind of clicking.
Yeah, good for Park, man. That's great.
All right, Coach. So let's talk about the game this past Saturday. Not exactly what you guys were expecting.
No. And it's not what I expected, but it's something we kind of knew could happen. There's no question. I mean, Marietta's an up-and-coming football team. There's no question. With one of the best backs in the country.
Yeah.
And that's something that we knew going into because he's always had good yards against us, and we struggle against big backs. And he is about 230 pounds of pure angry muscle. And as a coach, I knew if we didn't play well, we were going to lose. It's not a game that even if we don't play well, we'll still win. It wasn't that whatsoever. We knew that going into it, and we didn't play well. Straight up honest, we just didn't play well on any side of the ball. Special teams, offense or defense, we couldn't quite get the run game going, and the pass game was just a little bit off rhythm, which hasn't been off rhythm in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And we've been relying on Stoyle to win his football games and the receivers to win his football games, and it was just something was off. It was off rhythm. And then because of that, we needed our defense to step up and to take the reins and win us the game, and we couldn't do it defensively. We couldn't stop the run game, and you look at the game, and probably 80% of the game on defense, we played extremely well. I mean, we had 12 TFLs and a few sacks and two interceptions, and it was just that 20% destroyed us. Yeah. Destroyed us where we missed too many tackles, and you can't do that against a good football team. So hats off to Marietta and Coach Waddleman. They did an unbelievable job, and they've done an unbelievable job all year. That anyone knows the OAC knows that, okay. But it came down to us. We did not play Heidelberg football. And,
I was talking – I didn't get a chance to catch the game, but I was talking to Tony about it. And 3.5-hour drive for Tony, and he talked about, they just didn't feel like – it just didn't feel like it didn't feel like the guys were in the right mindset.
They weren't. They weren't. And that's absolutely my fault. Absolutely my fault. I just – it's one of those things that you look back on and you do everything completely differently. Okay, obviously I can. I just won't make that mistake again. But we just weren't there. Yeah. Weren't where we needed to be.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah,
we'll leave it at that, Coach. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We've got a couple of guests on the program with us tonight. Graduate assistant, let me see, I've got him down here. Ethan Nickel coming on the program with us here tonight. And then I've got a couple of freshman players coming on.
Yeah.
So we got some more stuff
Fresh
coming up
faces.
here on the Scott Donaldson Show, but I'll let you take a break and maybe get some food here.
I appreciate it. I'm about to get some pizza.
All right.
I'm hungry.
Sounds good. I'm thinking of Heidelberger maybe afterwards.
Oh, boy.
That's going to have to wait.
That's a good one.
All right, we're going to step aside and take a time out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more of the Scott Donaldson Show live from the Berg Bistro on the campus of Heidelberg University right here on WTTF.
Hi, Mom. Question, though. Serious question. You had to choose
Oh
between
my
your
gosh.
family and this team to spend your last day with. Who do you pick?
Oh, you know, I'm gonna have to pick my family.
Okay, get back. You're not a captain anymore. You're not gonna lead this team correctly. Get in the back.
No, but what if it's at a game? I'll spend it at a game and then I'll go to my family right after.
No, I don't
Yeah.
want that.
Hey, Coach Nichols' mom, shout out. We wanted to say hi. GAs do a great job here. Yeah.
They should have let me.
You
do it.
raised him right.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. These guys, they're setting me up. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Get up, get up.
You better say fuck up.
I can't say that.
You're hitting Taylor's.
Let's go, let's go. We got to go 1-0 this week. Let's go. 1-0 on 3, 1, 2, 3. 1-0.
Franco, you know you can say whatever.
Maybe, you know.
Why do you like her?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I've never even talked to her before, so. I can't slide in the DMs and go in her room at the same time.
Why not? I don't see the problem.
Because she won't respond till like late. Chase wants me to slide in the DM.
You're listening to the Scott Donaldson Show live here on WTTF. We've got a special guest on the program with us tonight is graduate assistant
I'll
Ethan
take general.
Nickel. General.
I'll take general.
General Ethan Nickel. There you go. So let's talk about how you got to Heidelberg. What was the path that led you here?
So I'm originally from Delaware, Ohio. Went to Delaware Hayes High School. After completing my 4 years there, I went to the College of Worcester over in Northeast Ohio.
Okay.
Played football there for 4 years, and then was looking to stay in football. Got certified to teach high school English and was planning on going that route. And then I kind of had submitted some applications, looking to potentially stick around the college level, see kind of where the wind took me. And lo and behold, I got in contact with Coach Donaldson. I came on campus. I was very familiar with campus. Actually, the offensive line coach here, Coach Lewis, recruited me way back when. So I was very familiar with Heidelberg, and then I must have done something right on an interview process because here I am now.
So this is your what, first year?
Second year.
Second year now.
Yes, sir.
So tell us a little bit about your role with the team.
So I coach the corners specifically, but as far as a graduate assistant goes, we do a lot of behind-the-scenes work. Specifically, it could be something as simple as working with the scout team. It could be breaking down the film for the next week's opponent. So right now, we're knee-deep in BW film, believe it or not. So we kind of just do a lot of things to make sure that this operation runs smoothly. It could be something as simple as taking stuff over to get it printed and copied and distributed, or something as important as game day operations. And so our responsibilities are varied.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you obviously you got a lot of things to worry about leading up to the game. Talk about game day. What goes on game day?
Game day, I'm actually in charge of the film, and so we kind of have to abide by certain regulations and rules according to the conference. And so we typically have managers. This year we have been short on managers, and so we've kind of thrust some injured guys into that role. And so it has been kind of trial by fire, training guys on the fly and getting them kind of accustomed to what's needed. And
welcome to the media world.
Yeah, no kidding. Actually, Robin White here at Heidelberg makes it all possible for us. She does a lot as far as making those cameras and the media equipment available for us. And so, that's certainly a big part of it. But then also, as far as game day goes, we have to coordinate with them as getting the field set up. Believe it or not, sometimes at halftime, we got to try and rehydrate these guys, and so we got to coordinate, making sure. And it sounds menial, but you got to get Powerades and fruit snacks to these guys, and sometimes, that little extra edge is what's going to push them over in the fourth quarter.
Hey, man, you never know when those gushers might kick in. When you need that extra yard,
I'm not about
count
gushers.
on the gushers.
It's not the gushers anymore. All these fruit snacks. If you want
those
a shot,
strawberry ones?
out of this world.
For real.
Out of
you
this
can't
world,
touch
man.
them.
I'm
You
telling
can't
you.
touch them.
Coach Lewis found that one, and you got to trust someone at Coach Lewis's size. He knows his way around. And
Guy
all
knows
these.
his way around the snacks.
Yep,
for sure.
He's the one to go to.
All right, so let's talk about Wilmington. You got Wilmington coming up this week.
Yes, sir.
What are your? Obviously, you said you into preparations for BW now. So what do you guys have coming up for this weekend? Obviously, homecoming, Hall of Fame Day, stag reunion. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. What do you do to get ready for some of that?
Well, by no means are we overlooking Wilmington. Especially considering
your job is to look ahead.
Right,
yeah.
right. Given last week's performance, and honestly, Coach Moore is down there at Wilmington now. Obviously, a very talented individual as far as just the football knowledge he has, and it's clear that he's transformed this team, from what we've seen in the past. They've got some really talented guys, and so for me, working with the corners is really preparing them for not only the different route combinations they'll see, but more of the subtleties that they might see from the receivers, how to prepare, to interpret that and read that on the fly and make plays that maybe we've seen from our guys in games like John Carroll, where, I think the defensive backfield had a great showing. And so a lot of it is kind of making sure that we're getting our minds right, in preparation for this game. But it would be a lie to say that the atmosphere isn't going to be electric. You mentioned all those things. We had an alumni stop by after practice today, obviously a well-decorated alumni too, and he spoke to the team. And so, aside from that and the recruits that are going to be on campus, it's going to be one to remember. I guarantee you that.
For sure. So you were a player at one point.
Yes, sir.
How do you separate? I mean, you got high school, and then you played 4 years in college. Now you're into your second year as a graduate assistant.
Yeah.
How do you separate between being a player and now being a coach and more of a mentor for the players?
Yeah, I think it's tough at times because, these guys see that we're young too, and they kind of want to.
That's why I asked, because you're a pretty young guy.
Yeah, I know. Some of these guys you might have on the camera here tonight definitely have more facial hair than me, and I got about 6 years they're seniors. So it helps that we've got such a good senior class. I mean, they've seen, GAs before me, and, they kind of know how that relationship should work. And so they set a pretty good precedent for, these young guys as well. But the responsibility is still on us to kind of maintain that near-peer relationship. Obviously we recognize that we're young, and I think that helps us in a lot of ways too, because we can relate, we can identify. It wasn't that long ago that we were grinding through practices or coming off of a big win and, having to keep our minds right in those situations. So we definitely use that to our advantage. But in certain situations, we got to know where to step back and, you know what, I'm not going to comment on that joke, or, I'm going to let that one go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's kind of a fine line there, like as a player, a former player, you kind of want to get in there and joke with the guys a little bit, but you got to know where to draw that line.
Yeah, and there's a reason you probably see a couple of the GAs make pretty routine appearances on these mic'd up films. We're still not afraid to jump in and joke around when we get the chance, and that's a testament to this whole staff. But
yeah,
we're still young and spry.
All right, so you're coaching the secondary, defensive backs. So you guys have actually played pretty well this year. You guys got kind of an opportunistic defense in the secondary. Talk a little bit about what has led to that.
Well, I'd say first and foremost, Coach Jake, who has been a tremendous mentor for me. He obviously coaches the safeties in the secondary, and so I coach the corners. And so I've learned a lot from him. But I'd say the preparation he instills in these guys every single week is a big part of that. More importantly, I think last year. There was maybe something lacking overall that I think all these guys will tell you, that we are just a more cohesive unit than we ever have been in the past. And so I think that has kind of shown itself in a number of different facets, specifically our communication. And a lot of times, that is what sets you up, is having everyone on the same loop there is what sets you up to make big plays. And that's why you've seen guys like Mike Ward and Jarrett Wasson, Jermaine Burkett, and Donovan Walker make plays, even Jordan Green this last week when their number's called. And so I'd say the communication and really the cohesiveness, that camaraderie, is really what's brought these guys together and allowed them to perform the way they have.
Now, you talk about Jarrett Wasson. I talked to him earlier this season. He was on the Scott Donaldson show, actually, I think the first show of the year.
Right.
And him and I talked about, the opportunistic way that you guys play, but he also talked about how, a lot of these seniors that are playing this year, they're not exactly game day experience seniors. They've had experience, but they're not starting experience. So talk a little bit about how you guys prepared them for their roles this year.
Yeah, definitely leading up to this year, I think they understood that all it takes is one play for them to have to be thrust into action. Not to mention, up into their career too, though they might not be starters, we've been in situations where, given the way the game has kind of dictated itself, we might be up by a lot or whatever the case may be, they've gotten meaningful game reps. So between that and then obviously the junior varsity program here that we have, that kind of has that developmental role for the guys, they're more than prepared in that sense. And again, I give a big testament to Coach Jake, not only because of his preparation, but kind of just how the defense is structured too. I'd say that a lot of our terminology and just kind of how we install the defense is conducive for players to, it's easy to obtain and to kind of retain that information as well. And so the structure of the defense and just kind of that development that they've had up to this point, I'd say is the biggest reason for that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so as a player, you obviously take to a certain style of coaching. When you were, in high school and in your years in college, obviously you probably had some favorites on the coaching staffs in high school, college. How do you kind of take a little bit from each of those and make it your own and make your own coaching style?
Sure. One guy that I can definitely relate to is my defensive coordinator in high school. His name was Mike Fredo, St. Francis de Sales alumni, not Toledo, Columbus area.
All right. Had to clarify.
Yeah. We definitely got some local listeners that might have been confused. But, he was a guy that wasn't afraid to relate to kids, and he was a young guy too. He wanted to get to know you. He wanted to know about your personal life. He wanted to really get on a personal level with you. But at the same time, he held you to a standard that was unwavering. He was not going to stray from his commitment to that standard. And so I think that's the big thing I try to do. I'm not afraid for the guys to maybe be upset with me and maybe mutter a few obscenities under their breath about me, and that's part of the role of being a GA. Sometimes you got to be that guy. But I think in the end, I'm willing to be, have that near peer relationship and continue to hold them that standard. I would want someone to do that for me, and I think that's the biggest thing is treating them the way I'd want to be treated.
All right, fair enough. So you talk about – I want to talk a little bit about this coaching staff.
Sure.
Obviously, you're an integral part of it.
Oh, I got stories. What do you want to know? I can dish some dirt.
I just want to know kind of how you fit in. I mean, what are your role? What's your role? I mean, obviously you coach the secondary, but, are you the jokester? Are you the guy that kind of keeps everything even keel? I was told that you're a talker. So
yeah, that's definitely true. I think anybody could tell you that.
Well, that's good. Radio guys like talkers. I like guys that give me more than one word answers.
Man, well, I get my fair share of jokes. Being a Worcester guy, I get a few jokes about that. A lot of these guys have the Heidelberg degree to their name already. Coach Jake, Coach Greaves. So there's kind of that sense of brotherhood already here. So I definitely get, I get a few, little razzing about that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm not afraid to, to get in there and play some jokes. I think what's nice is everyone is so close. Everyone is so familiar with each other. Whether it's having dinner at Coach Donaldson's house, we helped Coach Lewis move into his new house. Coach Greaves obviously had a number of the coaching staff as part of his bachelor party and everything else. And so there is a sense of camaraderie among this coaching staff that I think is why this program is so successful as it is. I tell all the recruits that come on campus, I joke about it, but I seriously think that there's got to be something in the water here that's really brought all these guys together, and it really is a special staff. I couldn't be more thankful for him to have taken a flyer on a goofy Worcester nerd like myself because, I am a jokester, but I'm willing to learn, and so I think, I kind of first year I was here, I was kind of just trying to be seen, not heard. I tried to be super professional, and once I realized that I was dealing with a bunch of jagaloons and goofballs, I kind of had a chance to be more of myself, and it's been a good year for us, and I think for me especially because of that.
Well, and I think the results are starting to show on the field as well because you guys are really carrying it over, and you guys have had a tremendous amount of success this year, and I hope it carries over for the rest of the year.
Me too. 3 more games.
That's right.
Let's just try and keep this thing rolling.
That's right. All right. Well, Coach, thanks for joining us on the program. Graduate Assistant Ethan Nickel, thanks again.
I appreciate it.
All right. We're going to step aside and take a timeout. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more of the Scott Donaldson Show live from from the Berg Bistro here on the campus of Heidelberg University, right here on your Seneca County Sports Connection, WTTF.
Your hometown?
Loveland, Ohio.
Your major?
Athletic training.
Who is your favorite Heidelberg professor?
Ryan Musgrave.
Aside from the Heidelberg soccer team, which team are you most excited to watch this year?
Volleyball.
What is your favorite sports movie?
Pass.
Your favorite band or musician?
Jack Johnson.
Your first celebrity crush?
Simba from The Lion King.
Your favorite professional athlete?
Megan Rapinoe.
Which teammate would make the worst president of the United States?
Maddie Kuhn.
Your favorite board game?
Pass.
Favorite restaurant?
Fridays.
Your favorite toy as a kid?
Pass.
What movie makes you cry?
The Notebook.
Chinese food, Mexican food, or Italian food?
Mexican.
A peanut butter and jelly sandwich, crusts or no crusts?
No crust.
Rock, paper, or scissors?
Rock.
Easy Mac or ramen?
Easy Mac.
Favorite dream vacation destination?
Australia.
Oh,
Stop. It's so hard to think of things.
Again, everybody, Nate Mullins here at the campus of Heidelberg University at Berg Bistro, 1850, here for the Scott Donaldson Show, live on WTTF. I've got a special guest joining me on the program now is freshman tight end Nick Kofer. Did I get that right?
Yep.
All right, Nick, thanks for joining us on the program.
Yep, thank you for having me.
All right, so, Nick, let's talk about it. This is your first year at Heidelberg, but Coach just made a statement here off the air, and I think we have to address this. You've already won here in your first year at Heidelberg more games than you had in your entire high school career.
That is correct.
Talk about that. I mean, obviously over there in Willard, you guys tough times for the football program, but for you to be able to persevere through that and make it out and be a contributing member here at Heidelberg, what's the difference, I guess, in the atmosphere from coming from a high school team over in Willard and coming over here to a college campus at Heidelberg?
Well, the biggest thing I've noticed is here everyone wants to be on the football field.
Okay.
I guess from back in Willard, we had low numbers as it was.
Yeah.
And not everyone wanted to play every Friday night there. And it just kind of struggled because out of the 11 guys on the field, there may have been 5 or 6 that wanted to play. And then it just kind of hurt us all throughout the game.
That's rough.
And here, all 100 guys or however many there are on the roster want to be here, want to play football, and want to succeed. And
that's a huge part of why you guys are so successful so far here in the 2017 campaign. So talk about your role here as a freshman. Obviously, you don't get a whole lot of opportunities to contribute here. But when you do get an opportunity, obviously you maximize that opportunity. Talk about what it takes leading up to those opportunities and what you do to get yourself in the right mindset.
Well, at the beginning of the year, I knew coming in that I was just going to be on the scout team mainly.
Okay.
And I wanted to focus on getting the D-line better every day because I knew I would be blocking them, and I knew they were big in one of the best D-lines in the country. So it was rough for a while, just kind of trying to block them day in and day out because they're big dudes.
But it makes you a better player.
Yeah.
I mean, having to go up against competition like that every day in practice makes you a better player.
Yeah, and it definitely showed in the JV games. I felt like I did a lot better job blocking and running routes against the JV team, and it helped me. I now practice with the varsity team, and I get reps up there. I still played a little bit of JV, but I do get some opportunities on like special teams, and I make sure I maximize those opportunities because who knows, maybe if I block a punt or make a huge hit, maybe the coaches will give me that opportunity on the field.
Absolutely. So talk about, obviously, you coming from Willard over here to Tiffin. What drew you to Heidelberg?
Well, Heidelberg was actually the first college that contacted me.
Okay.
It was after my junior year of football. I don't remember exactly when, but they were the first one to send me a letter of interest. Okay. And ever since that letter, I just felt like they wanted me, and they showed me the most love. And when I came here on the visit, Coach Donaldson showed me that he cared about me as a person, and he even told me that it didn't matter where I went, he wanted to get me to where I felt most at home. And it turned out that Heidelberg, out of everywhere I went to visit, was that place. And I feel at home, and it's wonderful here.
So talk about the feeling you get on campus. That's probably a big factor in why you decided to come here. It feels like home here.
Yeah, and I like that. I like relatively smaller schools.
Yeah. So
it kind of helps, and it feels exactly at home, and I get along with everybody here.
So you being from Willard, does the family come over for the games?
Yeah.
Yeah? Obviously.
Yeah.
So talk about, were they Heidelberg fans before you came over here?
Well, I had heard of Heidelberg, but I never really followed them.
Okay.
And then after my junior year of high school football, when Coach Donaldson contacted me, that's when I really started to look into them and follow them, and I really liked the campus and the football team and
now
how
the
they were doing.
family's starting to embrace it.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it. All right. So let's talk a little bit here before I let you go. Talk about your role. We talked about your role on the team, but talk about where you'd like to be next year and then moving forward with your career here at Heidelberg.
Well, hopefully my goal is to start next year at tight end. Hopefully I can make that come true, but I got to focus on the offseason first. And I've never really had a full offseason because I've played 3 sports all throughout high school. So I'm excited to see what I become after this offseason. And later on in my career, the goal is right now to be an All-American, but I know that's not easy to do. Yeah. And I know I got to put in a lot of time and a lot of work each and every day to become that.
Well, there's some guys in that locker room that can give you some good lessons on
what
it takes.
I've talked to Austin Crow before.
All right. So, Nick Kofer, anything else you want to talk about here before I let you go?
No.
All right.
Really.
Well, hey, thanks again for joining us on the program. Nick Kofer, freshman tight end from Willard. We're going to welcome on our next guest, DeMonte Richmond, freshman linebacker from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Yeah, did he get his hi, Mom in? All right. DeMonte, welcome to the program.
Welcome.
All right, so let's talk. You're a freshman coming from Cleveland, from Glenville.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about the Glenville. I guess it's kind of a culture up there. I think a lot of people have heard about it, but tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, Glenville is a brotherhood team that I know, and like Coach Ginn, his son is in the NFL. Tech end.
Oh yeah.
So and then Marshawn Lattimore played for the Saints with them. And, I played my freshman year with him, with Marshawn. So with me seeing him in the NFL is like making my dream, like I could really get there. Like that guy, I was just playing with him a couple of years back, and then he went to O State and went to the NFL. I'm just thinking like, yeah, that could be me one day.
For sure. And it shows you that, anything can happen. I mean, anybody from anywhere can go wherever they want. It just takes work. It takes the hard work and perseverance.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about what led you to Heidelberg. Coming from Cleveland, I mean, how did you hear about Heidelberg?
Well, at first I really did not hear about Heidelberg. Then Coach Fox started recruiting me. He actually seen me at I think it was a camp. I think Coach Fox started seeing me at, and then he kind of one of my games to recruit another player, and then he seen me, and was just like, yeah, I would like you for you at Heidelberg.
So he's seen you ball out.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, well, maybe I need to be recruiting this guy.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your role on the team. So you're a freshman.
Yes.
I talked with Nick a little bit about being a freshman and what that takes. You're on a scout team.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your role.
Well, my role is just to be the best me on the field to try to get up there with the varsity guys, me just being a freshman. So I work myself every day to get up there with them in the weight room, waking up in the morning, and just try to get them better for their games on Saturdays, because hopefully one day that's going to be me. Either next year, the following year, one day that's going to be me, and I'll have to be ready for that.
Yeah, and it's just all about preparation and being ready for that time when it comes. So let's talk a little bit about, this is your freshman year, but you obviously have some goals. You talked about wanting to be a starter.
Yes.
Talk about what it's going to take between now and next year in order for you to maybe take that next step.
It's going to take hard work and dedication in the weight room. Scratch the weight room. It has to start with school first. You have to be a student athlete.
That's right.
And you got to have your grades right. Right now, I have 3 A's and a C on my and I'm trying to get that C up, and that's gonna get there. But like I said, you got to start with, you got to be a student athlete first, and then you go to the weight room, and then it'll follow from there.
I'm sure Coach likes those answers
yes.
too. All right, Demonte, so let's talk a little bit about, you're a freshman, and so what's your role on the scout team? What do you do exactly to get the defense ready? Or to get the offense ready, I should say.
Well, first, I talk a lot of smack.
That's what you got to do.
Talk a lot of smack, because you never know on Saturday what them boys going to be out there talking to you and everything. So I'm trying to get them prepared to hear that talking smack from a teammate, for they won't have to react to a person outside of being their teammate, or brother, little brother, as they look at me probably.
Right.
So I just try to be, like I said, the best me, get them ready, whoop some butt.
Absolutely. All right, so getting ready for Wilmington this week, what do you have to do to get ready for this game? Obviously, you got the scout team stuff that you've got to get ready, but what do you do as a person to get ready, mind frame, ready for this game coming up?
Well, I watched a film on Wilmington to see what they run and everything, and how they linebackers play. If I could play just like them, if not better than them, against our offense, for they could be prepared.
Absolutely. All right, so anything else you want to talk about here before I let you go? I want to make sure that you got enough time to get some food in.
No, I'm okay.
All right.
I just want to thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. Demonte, thank you for joining us on the program. Demonte Richmond, freshman linebacker from Cleveland, Ohio. Thanks again for joining us. We're going to step aside and take a time out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more. The Scott Donaldson Show, live from the Burke Bistro 1850 on the campus of Heidelberg University, right here on your Seneca County Sports Connection, WTTF.
Your hometown.
Tiffin, Ohio.
Your major.
Sports management.
Who is your favorite Heidelberg professor?
Jerry Mack.
What's been your favorite athletic moment of Heidelberg?
Pass.
Who is your favorite cartoon character?
Scooby-Doo.
Your favorite band or musician?
Future.
Your first celebrity crush?
Jessica Alba.
Your favorite professional sports team?
Cleveland Cavaliers.
If you were stranded on a deserted island, which teammate would you want with you?
Oh, wow. I'd say Jarrett Watson.
What is your spirit animal?
A lion.
What's your favorite ice cream?
Cake batter.
Who was your favorite teacher in grade school?
Mr. Gillig.
A peanut butter and jelly sandwich, crusts or no crusts?
No crust.
Very good. Nice.
Campus of Heidelberg University here on the Scott Donaldson Show, live from the Burke Bistro 1850, formerly Fireside Cafe and Pub. They've got a great menu here, folks. Come on down and check out what they have to offer. This is open to the public. This
Yep.
isn't just a campus establishment. This is welcome. Public is welcome to come on down here.
Well,
and,
we've got 3 beers on tap,
yeah.
and it's good food.
Is that 312? Yeah, that's
it is 312.
Come on, folks. you can't go wrong.
No, food's good, service is great, and good people over here.
Absolutely. All right, so Coach, let's talk a little bit about. So you guys got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. I mean,
Is there?
Is there? What do you got? So we've got.
I know I got a
homecoming.
game. What else we got?
All right, so homecoming, obviously, the festivities, all that good stuff. But there's some other things going on. A little bit of a reunion. The 1972 Stag Bowl team.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of guys are coming back. That's really great. What is it, 45 years? What's the math on that? 45
yep.
years. Yeah, I was a history
years.
major. So, yeah, and it's always great to get those guys back on campus,
Sure.
Actually one of our coaches kind of played with a lot of those guys, Jake Moyer, who's the old head coach of Mohawk and Upper Sandusky. So he gets a chance for me to introduce, get in touch with them, and it's a really great thing to have those guys back and just to meet them, man. They're a fun bunch. They're a fun bunch.
And I think Ethan was telling me that he actually had one of the guys was actually talking to the team today.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't not the 72. Bill Groman. Bill Groman's one of our most famous football alumni ever. He's a 57 grad. Actually played for Horniman. Played in the NFL for about a decade.
Oh, wow.
Still holds NFL records. His rookie year, he still holds the rookie receiving record in the NFL. His cleats are still in Canton.
Wow.
I've seen him. So I know when Odell Beckham came out, they actually wrote a huge piece on him in ESPN magazine. Because no one ever heard of him. Everyone, Odell broke this record. Like, wait, no, he didn't. There's a little 5'10" white guy from Heidelberg College that broke it back in 1960.
Yeah. Hey, hold the phone here. We got to fade.
He's an NFL scout for 37 years. I mean, he's always back, and it's great to. He flew in. He lives down in Houston. Him and his daughter flew up and gave him a chance to speak to the guys. And anytime an alumni comes back to campus, I want to get a chance for them to speak to the team, not only to, obviously we want to give love to our alumni because we're standing on their shoulders, but more importantly, so these kids understand that there is people outside of their parents that actually care about what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of people that live stream the games, come to the games. I know this weekend's going to be wild with the alumni on campus, and getting a chance to say, hey, listen, I know what you're going through. I've gone through it. I've finished, I've graduated, but I still care about you and what you do.
Yeah.
That's a really powerful message to have as a 18-year-old young buck trying to find his way in college and football.
For sure. Well, I know for sure that people are watching because I know when something goes wrong.
You get enough
I'm
calls.
the first guy that gets that phone call when something goes wrong.
I'm sure.
I know there's plenty of people out there watching and listening. So let's talk about this game. Wilmington, we talked about the festivities and all that stuff. I had to make sure I had to throw in a recognition for the 72 Stag
Of
Bowl
course.
team. But let's talk about the actual game. Wilmington coming in on a 4-game losing streak. So what are you guys doing to get ready for this game?
Well, obviously Wilmington's a very much improved team.
Yeah.
Very much improved team. I mean, I would go so far as to say is the most improved team in our conference exponentially. And they've improved since week 1, too. They're a very good football team. But the biggest thing for us this week, after what happened last week, is focusing on ourselves, making sure we execute Heidelberg football, making sure that we're getting this run game back to where we need it, back to where it's been in the past, and it's kind of gone by the wayside the past few weeks, making sure defensively that we are assignment sound and tackling well. And it's the same thing special teams, assignment sound and tackling well. That's really what the focus of this week has been on, is making sure that we're worried about ourselves. And it doesn't matter who we're playing on Saturday, Wilmington Quakers or the Green Bay Packers. It doesn't matter because unless we get ourselves fixed, we don't have a chance against anybody, and especially with a good football team coming in like Wilmington, that was really where our focus was, And as far as offense and defense, like I said, their offense is very much improved. I don't know offhand how much they're averaging a game, but I can promise you it's well over what they were last year.
Yeah.
And they legitimately have a wizard at quarterback. His name's Luke Credit. We've seen what he comes in with a wand, big cape. It's not a costume. That's him. No, and he is. I've never seen someone be able to just.
So now you've played against Ivan Drago and a wizard.
Yes, we've had Ivan Drago, we've had the Wizard. Well, we on the defensive staff, because I still coach linebackers. Me, Coach Jake, Coach Nickel, and Coach Greaves. Every quarterback we see, we give him a nickname.
That's right.
All right, and this week it's the Wizard. Last Otterbein kid was the Magic Man.
I like it.
The Mountain kid was what was his Casanova. What? No. Oh, El Diablo was last week, Marietta. And Coach Greaves, our D-line coach, absolutely hates it. Like, flips out on it. Just refuses to play along. I don't know why, just flips out. So, yeah, we've gotten the whole team calling him the Wizard. No, but he is a phenomenal quarterback. The kid is a big kid. He can run. Not a runner, but he can run. He extends plays. He is tough to bring down, tough to sack. He is legitimately their entire offense. Not that they don't have other players because they got good receivers, a very underrated running back who I really think is very, very good. And their defense is very aggressive. They're up front. They're very aggressive. I can see, obviously my best friend in the world is their defensive coordinator. He's actually the godfather to my daughter.
That's cool.
So I see a lot of similarities between that defense and kind of when we started turning around Heidelberg. It started up front, getting pressure on quarterbacks, getting some TFLs, kind of creating havoc in the backfield, and I really start to see that with what Coach Philly's doing over with their defense.
Well, Coach, this Saturday, 1 o'clock pregame, 1:30 kickoff here on WTTF. You can find the game on AM 1600, FM 93.3. We'll also be streaming on WTTF.com and on your free WTTF app as well. So there's many different ways you can digest this weekend's game. So there's some other things going on in the area, but I want to touch on something that happened in last week's game because obviously, they're not exactly the end result that you wanted, but All-American D. McGee surpassed 2,000 career yards in receiving and 26 career touchdowns. That's tied for second on the Heidelberg.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. D. McGee is very well deserving. I mean, he is such a great kid and obviously an unbelievable receiver. I wish we could have had a few more touchdowns out of him last week. But no, and him and Stoyle just have something special together. And that's – D. McGree's a great receiver. Stoyle is a great quarterback. When you put them together, that's the explosive, dynamic offense you want. That's the special thing. It's not just D. McGee's great. There's no question. But would he be unbelievable without Stoyle? No. They just have this cerebral connection that just works, and it's been working for 3 straight years.
All right. So, Coach, let's talk a little bit about you guys have – I wouldn't say exactly wide receiver university, but, with Mike Preston and then Dante Dye, and now you've got D. McGee. Is this a guy that you could look for as possibly having a future, maybe looking at the NFL level?
Absolutely. We've been contacted by a whole lot of NFL teams, and that's in this day and age, here's the deal. If you're good enough, you get noticed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You're playing Heidelberg or Ohio State. If you're good enough, you're making plays, they're going to notice you, okay, and you're going to get an opportunity. Now, what D does with that opportunity, who knows? That's up to him.
For sure.
That's up to him. Dante and Mike took that opportunity, ran with it, excuse the pun, and had some great careers and are still doing well. And I think D can do the same, but I'm not an NFL scout.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll just see what happens. And there's some other guys that are getting looks too. And again, if you're good enough, you get noticed. It doesn't matter where you are.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned Ohio State. I gotta at least touch on this. Coming up this Monday at Buffalo Wild Wings, we are hosting the Ohio State Buckeyes tailgate night. Special guest joining us on the program, 2002 national champion Craig Krenzel.
Really? That's awesome.
He'll be our special guest this Monday night on Monday Night Sports Talk. He'll be out there signing autographs, signing stuff for people.
Well, that place will be wild.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
That place will be wild. That's
Buckeyes
great.
tailgate night. 15% of the sales from 6 to 9 go to benefit the Walk to End Alzheimer's. So, folks, come on out and show your pride.
Heck yeah.
So, Coach, let's talk a little bit more about this game this week, and then we'll wrap things up here. With this, obviously with last week's result, is this going to be a little bit of you guys taking some frustrations out this week?
No. It's nothing like that, and that's not anything we'd.
No.
It's like we said before. It's more about just getting back to what we do. and getting back what we do. And that's the main focus. And a lot of that is not only just what we do offensively, defensively, special teams, and how we played the first 5 weeks compared to these last couple. It's also a lot about getting back to the enthusiasm we needed. I mean, you've been on those sidelines. The Otterbein game was wild, and don't get me wrong, but those first couple games, I mean, it's wild. Guys going crazy, and it's more about me calming them down. Or I have to, and I want to go crazy. Trust me, I want to be the loudest screamer. All right, and I have to calm myself down. But in last week, it really didn't feel like that. It felt like you had to prod the guys to get some energy out of them. That's the most important thing. Is I want to see on the sideline. I want to see an insane sideline. Yeah. I want to get warnings from the referees saying, "Hey, you got to calm those guys down." And I'll say, "Yes, sir, I'll try." And I won't say a thing to my team.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah. Warnings are compliments. Penalties
yes,
are
sir,
stupid.
Yes, sir.
More warnings are compliments. So, but that's what I want to see this weekend. And that's what I hope to see. And I hope to see a wild atmosphere. I know with Brian Moore in Philly over at Wilmington and Matt Byrne. I think everyone that's played for us for the last 10 years is coming back to this game. I'm serious. Everyone is coming back just to see us and see those guys. And if they could come back for 1 week, this was the week they wanted to do it so they could see everybody. Yeah. It's really going to be a pretty special atmosphere. I'm really excited to see it, not just for homecoming, but for these alumni coming back. And really excited to see us get back to what got us here, and that with enthusiasm.
Absolutely. 1 o'clock pregame, 1:30 kickoff. Wilmington at Heidelberg. That's this Saturday right here on your Seneca County Sports Connection, WTTF. On the BAS Sports Radio Network for this weekend, coming up this Friday, tune into AM 1450 WLEC to catch the 2-7 Perkins Pirates as they travel to take on the Sandusky Blue Streaks, the number 5 Sandusky Blue Streaks. Eagle 99.1 covers the Toledo St. Francis at Fremont Ross game. Now, Fremont Ross still hanging in there. They're at number 8. In their region now at 5-4. So if they win this game, they could possibly sneak into the playoffs.
8 get in?
Yeah.
8 get in?
Yep.
Oh, good for them.
8 teams
good
get in
Coach
each
Long.
region. Yeah, absolutely. And he's done a fantastic job over there in Fremont, turning that program around.
Absolutely.
92.1, the Wolf features the number 9 team in Region 14, Bellevue, as they look to try to solidify their spot in the playoff standings, and they travel to Clyde. That's going to be a tough matchup.
That's going to be a wild game right there. If I had to pick one game to go to, and I can't go to any this weekend, I wish I could, but that would be the game.
That'd be the one, yeah. On Coast Country 100.9, you can catch Huron at Edison, and then right here on WTTF, AM 1600, FM 93.3, and streaming online at WTTF.com. We're covering the Columbian Tornadoes as they search for their first victory of the year. They travel on the road to take on the Norwalk Truckers this Friday night. Tommy, Greg, and I will be live from Norwalk.
All right. Well, good luck. Good luck, Coach Lusk. Good luck to the Tornadoes, and let's bring home that W.
Well, good luck to you, Coach, this weekend.
Appreciate it, buddy.
All right. We're going to start with that. I think that's it.
That's it?
Everything.
We're done?
Man. That was a smooth show.
That was smooth I tell you what.
I like it. All right. Once again, I want to thank everybody here at the Berg Bistro for all their hospitality. Thanks to Robin White and her assistant for helping set up here. Thanks to Scott Donaldson for joining us on the program, and all of our guests for joining us tonight. And thanks to you for tuning in. Once again, the Scott Donaldson Show live from the Berg Bistro here on the campus of Heidelberg University, right here on your Seneca County Sports Connection, WTTF.